Hello guys, so last year on this channel, we talked about the big leadership change at Big Hit Music when Seon Jeong was officially appointed as the new president of the agency. And at the time, the Korean press described her as the person who helped shape BTS from their training days and built HYBE's entire training system and oversaw the early development of TXT, ENHYPEN, LE SSERAFIM, and even N-Team. She was also the one recognized by Billboard on their 40 Under 40 and Women in Music list. And I, talked about her on my channel, right? And also talked about her interview with the press and this video that HYBE uploaded on their own channel to talk about their training and development stories. Wow, at the time, wow, time flies. 260 days left till Suga's discharge. Anyways, so that appointment in 2024 felt like HYBE signaling a shift, right? Big shift. So they put someone with real artist development experience at the top of the label right before BTS full group return. And now, 1 year later, we finally have a long, detailed English interview with her. The first one where she talks openly about BTS 2026 comeback and also BigHit's philosophy and how she sees the company's next chapter. So in this video, we're gonna read through that article together, and yeah, we might pause here and there at the key sections, and we'll also talk about what it all means for BTS and TXT and CORTIS and for HYBE as a whole. Okay, so let's get started. The title is Meet BTS label boss Shin Jeong or Shin, the exec guiding the superstar K-pop group's unprecedented return. Published by MBW, Music Business Worldwide, on November 18. What do BTS, Tomorrow by Together, ILIT, and TWS all have in common? ILIT and TWS as well. All right. They're all K-pop stars whose early careers were shaped by Shin Jeong. As head of HYBE's Training and Development Division, the exec oversaw nearly 200 trainees before her history-making appointment in 2024. 200 trainees. That's when she became the first female president of BigHit Music, the flagship label of global entertainment powerhouse HYBE and home to BTS. Shin's elevation to president was built on years of hands-on artist development work in South Korea. She also extended HYBE's training model globally. Through the debut Dream Academy project with Geffen Records, she helped form Cat's Eye, who have just been named as the Best New Artist nominee at the 2026 Grammys. Oh, okay, that's why they included the picture of Cat's Eye in this article as well. This is an old photo though. Also, now, as president of Big Hit Music, Shin faces perhaps the most anticipated moment in K-pop history. She's steering BTS toward their full group comeback in 2026. And for her, that will be one of the biggest challenges and opportunities in her entire career, perhaps. That's me speaking. All 7 members of BTS have now completed their mandatory military service, with Suga being the last to finish in June 2025. June 21st, right? The group is working on new music in the US and aiming for a spring 2026 release, which will coincide with the world tour. They're now back in Korea, though. Is this perhaps the interview took place while the members were in the States? Okay, who knows? The stakes couldn't be higher. BTS remains one of the most commercially successful acts in HYBE's history. And, in fact, not only in HYBE's history, but in the Korea's history, right? And the K-pop history as well. And their return is expected to generate a seismic impact across the live and recorded music sectors. HYBE's leadership team told analysts on a Q3 earnings call last week that they're predicting significant revenue improvements following the resumption of the group's activities next year. And here's a photo of BTS, group photo. The unprecedented anticipation for BTS coming back as a full group is something we're deeply aware of, Shin tells us. We see it as a positive sign that their music and stories continue to resonate powerfully with fans around the world. So the article starts with her quote before fully going into the interview. Wait, one more, 5 more paragraphs to read. But Shin's responsibilities extend beyond BTS. She's also guiding Tomorrow by Together, a K-pop act with 12 Billboard 200 entries, and overseeing the debut of CORTIS, BigHit Music's first new boy group in 6 years. And these two groups are killing it. Yeonjun, by the way, has released his solo album. I quite enjoyed it. It sounds quite experimental and very Yeonjun-like. And yeah, I also enjoyed the video that he put out. He's really pouring his heart into the artistry that he's putting out. And Cortez is doing well, both in terms of like chart performances and also just performances in general. They've been like traveling around the world and meeting fans. Now moving on. Cortez made an explosive entrance in 2025 with their debut EP Color Outside the Lines, selling over 430,000 copies in its first week, the fourth highest first week sales for a debuting K-pop group of all time, and becoming the only rookie group this year to enter the Billboard 200, debuting at number 15. Yeah, by the way, for those of you who do not know who Cortez is, here it is, the 5-member boy group under BigHit. And their first EP is titled Color Outside the Lines. And their name, Cortis, came from that phrase, color outside the line. All right, back to the article. Shin tells MBW in the exclusive interview below that her leadership philosophy centers on one word, balance. Interesting, balance. When I was appointed as president of BigHit Music, the first word that came to mind was balance, she explains. I felt a deep sense of responsibility to honor the legacy built by BTS and to simultaneously create an environment for our next generation artists to fully express their own identities. In Korean, balance is 균형. So I'm not sure which language she had the interview in, but probably she said 균형 if she spoke in Korean or wrote in Korean. Here, Shin discusses the challenges of managing unprecedented expectations for BTS return, her vision for TXT and Cortis, and what it takes to lead in an industry where the pressure to deliver global superstars has never been higher. ... All right, let's get right into it. You stepped into the president role at BigHit Music in 2024. What were the biggest challenges you faced stepping into the role, and what was on your to-do list? My biggest challenge was making sure that BigHit Music's core identity remained strong amid a rapidly evolving music landscape. From the very beginning, I focused on reinforcing internal communication and culture, and embedding a system where artists are unequivocally respected as a central creative force. BigHit Music has always valued sincerity toward music and artists. My goal now is to build on that foundation and establish a sustainable structure that enables the label to continue growing as a global player. How is BigHit Music positioned within HYBE and within the wider K-pop business? Shin. As a label that marked the beginning of HYBE, BigHit Music has always embodied the company's mission of believing in the power of music. And we believe in music. That's still the HYBE's, whatchamacallit? What company? 기업 소개? English. So this is their official website, who we are. Oh yeah, we believe in music. This website is kind of weird though. Anyways, that's their core phrase. We are driven by the philosophy that music must always remain at the center, ensuring that every artist can express their individuality and message in their own authentic way. BigHit Music is also the label that continues to explore new musical possibilities to define the next chapter of K-pop. Define the next chapter of K-pop. Building on the global standards set by BTS, we are actively supporting our next generation of artists, such as TXT and CORTIS, as they establish their own narratives and creative identities. Moving forward, we aim to evolve into a label that fosters a virtuous cycle where music, artists, and fans grow together. MBW. Before becoming president, you led HYBE's Training and Development Division, also known as TND Division, overseeing nearly 200 trainees. How did that experience prepare you for leading BigHit Music? Interesting question. Shin. The 4 years I spent leading HYBE's Training and Development Division were fundamental in shaping my leadership today. Closely observing nearly 200 trainees taught me that every individual grows in their own rhythm and possess a unique potential. I learned that true growth happens when artists discover their individuality and find partners who recognize and nurture that potential. And by the way, when Shin was featured in the HYBE TNT Stories series, and in that footage, she has a conversation, honest conversation with RM. Right at the time, she was still responsible for training and development system, and now she has become president of BigHit, which is pretty significant, right? That belief remains the belief that the true growth happens when artists discover their individuality and find partners who recognize and nurture their potential. That belief remains central to my leadership at BigHitMusic. I view my most important role as helping artists freely explore their creative individuality and musical identity, while also engaging in constant dialogue to find new directions together. While data and structure provide a framework, my focus is ultimately on creating an environment where artists' creativity can truly come to life, which is why I really appreciate, the type of environment that HYBE and BigHit, foster for their artists. It's all about the music and the individuality as artists. MBW. BTS members are currently in different stages of their solo careers. Oh, solo careers. How do you balance supporting their individual artist development while maintaining the group's identity and preparing for their comeback? And this is something that I often talk about with my close friends, because this could kind of, I don't know, for fans, it's an interesting matter, an important matter, right? Assuming, and I'm the one who really hope that BTS has a long career into their future. And to do that, we should meet a balance of both, group music and a solo career where they can really fulfill their individual desires as artists, right? So let's see what Seon Jeong has for us in terms of the response to this question. I see BTS solo projects as an important part of their ongoing artistic journey, a process through which each member explores their own colors and messages. Bingo. To me, their individual paths are a natural extension of the group's broader story. Each member is pursuing different genres and creative directions, but at the heart of it all is the same unwavering desire to express themselves through music and to share new messages with ARMY. Good. This shared foundation is what sustains BTS identity and allows every solo endeavor to enrich the group's collective narrative. At BigHitMusic, we fully respect each artist's creative process and experimentation while ensuring that the experiences and energy they gain along the way eventually channel back and come together under the name BTS. Ultimately, it's not about the timing. It's about the moment when all 7 members feel ready to reunite naturally and authentically. Yeah. And then, now, one point I would like to make is that this makes sense, and I fully agree. And I feel like each of the members, right, has their own uniqueness and strengths, and they have very distinct musical spectrum. And it will be incredible if these members can separately pursue their own artistry while keep doing group music. But there's one condition: as long as ARMYs can support both the group and individuals in a mature manner, right? But of course, solo fans have like competition with each other and being toxic to each other and to other members. That's something that I'm worried about as could be dangerous. For example, you know how like sensitive some solo fans can become, right? For example, this MBW article includes some photos here and there. It also has like two group photos, but then after talking about this, solo segments in her interview, includes a Jungkook's photo. And I can almost hear solo fans saying that why is there only Jungkook's photo in terms of the solo? Why not all 7 members? Well, they did include group photos, but I guess Jungkook was the one that they decided to include, and but you know how I'm almost like paranoid to the point that I could hear the shouts of solo fans clamoring like why not Jimin, why not V, why not blah blah blah. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, and I think as mature fans we need to like chill a bit, you know what I'm saying? What, am I making sense? Anyways, let's move on. What I'm trying to say is that not everything has to be about conspiracy, right? Even I see some of my subscribers saying that, oh, HYBE and BigHit has this something against certain solo members, and they favor certain members. It's all about the long-term strategies, right? It's all about the balance. So let's just chill. All right, moving on. MBW. TXT has become a K-pop act with 12 Billboard 200 chart entries. How do you view TXT's positioning in the global market, and what's the strategy for the group over the next couple of years? Now, in their 7th year, TXT have established themselves as global artists who capture the diverse emotions and realities of youth with sincerity and depth. Their music transcends generations and cultures, expanding the global reach of K-pop storytelling and authenticity. Through the Star Chapter album series, they push the boundaries of genre while developing a distinct emotional narrative, consistently proving their artistic growth and resonance on global charts. The group's recent contract renewal was especially meaningful to me as a head of the label, a reflection of the mutual trust built over the years. Yeah, TXT announced the renewal of their contract during their tour. Contract renewal. And that was quite meaningful. As I said, TXT announced their contract renewal. Promise to keep the promise. Yeah, and Subin read the letter, right? To keep the promise, 5 of us TXT have completed a new contract. Great news. Looking ahead, TXT will continue to experiment with new genres and musical approaches, expanding their global identity through music rooted in their own stories and emotions. And the article also included a link, embedded link to TXT Can't Stop Official MV, which is a Japanese song that they released. CORTIS debuted in 2025 as BigHit's first new boy group in 6 years, with their debut EP landing at number 15 on the Billboard 200. How much pressure was there to get this debut right? And what did you learn from TXT's trajectory that informed CORTIS' rollout? Okay, interesting. Shin Jeong says, CORTIS' debut carried both excitement and a sense of responsibility, as it was BigHitMusic's first new boy group in 6 years. However, we chose to view that pressure not as an obligation to deliver the perfect results, but as an opportunity to showcase how a new generation could express themselves in their own way. From TXT's journey, we learned that authenticity, capturing the emotions and language of a generation, is what ultimately builds a lasting connection with global fans. That insight naturally informed CORTIS' debut. From the early stages, the members of CORTIS were determined to define their own color across every area: music, performance, and visuals. Their debut EP, Color Outside the Lines, perfectly embodies that self-driven spirit. Moving forward, I see my role as creating an environment where artists can communicate with the world in their own voice, helping each team establish a distinct identity that reflects the times they live in. And then there's a CORTIS Go official MV. You extended HYBE's training model globally through the debut Dream Academy with Geffen Records, which formed Cat's Eye. What did you learn from creating a global group, and do you see this as a template for future international expansion? Debuting Cat's Eye was a collaborative project between HYBE and Geffen Records that reinterpreted HYBE's training philosophy in a global context. During my time leading HYBE's training and development division, my role was to share the essence of HYBE's K-pop training philosophy, system, and methodology with HYBE America and Geffen Records, and to support senior program manager Missy Paramo and the local trainers as they adapted it to their own cultures and languages. Missy Paramo. I think I remember. Yeah, I remember her from the Netflix documentary series, right? Yeah, she looked really capable. Let's see, where are we? The most crucial lesson I learned through this process is that it's far more important to respect local diversity and individuality than to simply replicate an existing model. While HYBE's system and accumulated expertise provided a strong foundation, the real value lies in creating an environment where artists and staff in each region can express themselves in an authentic manner within their own cultural and creative language. I believe this approach can evolve into a global framework rooted in empathy and understanding, one that reflects the unique character of each region while staying true to the spirit of K-pop. Ultimately, the globalization of music isn't about mass producing a single model, but about building new narratives born from the convergence of different cultures. And this mindset will be important in the future as well as HYBE expands in other areas, including Latin America, India, and so on. Right? So, HYBE has invested heavily in technology, from Weverse to AI and virtual experiences. As president of BigHitMusic, how do you view technology's role in artist development and fan engagement, and where do you draw the line? Interesting question. Technology has undoubtedly expanded the possibilities within the music industry. Shin Jeong says, platforms like Weverse, which bring artists and fans closer together, and creative tools that enhance production efficiency, all contribute to an environment where artists can focus more deeply on the music itself. That said, I firmly believe technology can never be a replacement for creativity. Nice. It's a supporting tool that is designed to amplify an artist's individuality and message. Now, this is something that different people might have different ideas about. Even within the HYBE leadership team. I don't know. But at least this is where Shin Jeong stands. She said, music at its core must always originate from human emotion and authenticity. For example, BigHitMusic artist Ihun once used Supertone's AI technology to release an album under the identity Midnight. Yeah, I remember that. Midnight. And then we didn't really hear about it since then. Even in that case, Shin Jeong says, technology served as a supporting mechanism to help him share his music with a broader global audience. The music was never developed by the technology itself. Ultimately, what matters is not the technology, but how effectively the technology deepens the connection between people and music. And yeah, Midnight Project was kind of experimental, where Supertone, which is one of HYBE's companies, they provided technology where Midnight or Lihun could perform in multiple languages in a relatively fluid manner, right? So the song that they released at the time could be listened to in multiple languages. But yeah, it was a sort of an experiment that we didn't really hear about since then. Moving on. How central are superfans to HYBE's business model compared to casual listeners? Superfans play an essential role in the journey of both BigHitMusic and our artists. We view them not just as consumers, but as active participants who listen, share, and co-create new culture alongside the artists they love. However, our goal isn't to focus solely on a specific fan segment. What truly matters is creating experiences where most listeners can naturally connect with an artist's story and feel a sense of genuine engagement. In that sense, superfans represent the heart of Big Hit Music's ecosystem, not as an exclusive group, but as a relationship that any listener can grow into through music. The anticipation for BTS full group comeback in 2026 is arguably unprecedented in K-pop history. They used that word like 4 times now. What are the biggest challenges and opportunities that come with managing those expectations, both internally and from the global fan base? Honestly, that's the question that we've been waiting to hear from this article, right? So here's a highlight. Let's see what Seon Jeong said. The biggest challenge is ensuring that, as always, BTS music carries the authenticity. That word is another favorite of this article. Appeared for the 4th time. And meaning, so authenticity and meaning that transcend time and generations. BTS are not just global stars. They are 21st century pop icons who have shared their experiences and emotions through music, creating empathy that bridges cultures and generations. The key lies in how sincerely their next chapter is conveyed as they come together once again to complete their shared narrative. This moment also represents a tremendous opportunity, a chance for BTS to musically reconnect with their fans while building on the legacy they have created. At Big Hit Music, we are dedicated to supporting this process carefully, ensuring that every step forward is both creatively fulfilling and emotionally genuine for the artist. And the members have also said that for this album, each member really had their own input into the process, right? And that makes sense because at this point, each of the members has grown as both as singers, performers, but also as artists. So I'm really excited. And even though the whole process must have included collaborations with different producers and I don't know, foreign artists, local artists, but at the same time, BTS members really cared about each step in the process. You know what I'm saying? Which is why I'm quite excited. What does success look like for Big Hit Music in the BTS comeback era, and what legacy do you want to leave? The upcoming comeback of BTS marks not only a new beginning for the group, but also for Big Hit Music as a label, as artists like TXT and CORTIS will continue to grow and express themselves in their own unique ways. My vision is to ensure Big Hit Music remains a label that consistently attracts diverse and talented artists who want to be part of our story, where individual authenticity and growth are valued. Equally important is our environment we create for our people. I want every member of the team to discover and never lose sight of their own strengths. What are your predictions for K-pop's positioning in the global music business over the next couple of years? K-pop has grown beyond music, acting as a catalyst for global interest in Korean culture as a whole. From food and film to games and fashion, this cultural curiosity has expanded far beyond the initial core fandom itself. I believe this phenomenon will further strengthen K-pop's influence as a distinct genre within the global music industry. Last question. If there was one thing you could change about the music business, what would it be and why? Interesting question. The music industry is evolving faster than ever. While that pace creates new opportunities, it can also take away the necessary time artists need to grow and express themselves at their own pace. Music, by nature, is a form of art that deepens through time and experience. Nice. I believe true innovation and sustainability are only created in an environment where artists can fully reflect, create, and perform without losing their own pace. At Big Hit Music, we want to preserve that kind of environment, one where both artists and fans can rediscover the fundamental value of music itself. And if I remember correctly, this mindset, this philosophy has been talked about by another HYBE exec before. I forgot which one specifically, but I remember talking about it in one of my videos. And we rarely hear this from high position execs within the music business, saying that right now the pace is too fast, and artists need to move at their own pace. And this is something that both the industry and the fans should respect, in terms of our expectations. So this is good. So what do you think? That was the end of the article. I would say this could be kind of underwhelming for BTS fans waiting for their 2026 comeback, and like shareholders or investors who are waiting if she drops anything surprising and new. Um, I really like the article and appreciate what she says, but it didn't really include any surprises, I would say. So she was being safe, or maybe this is the a true mindset and philosophy that she has, managing day-to-day operations for her role, right? But what strikes me the most about this interview is how much it reveals about the tone of BTS return, without giving away a single concrete detail. You know what I'm saying? That's why some people might say that this interview was underwhelming, but I still appreciate it because Shin Jeong isn't like hyping numbers or promising record-breaking stats, right? This is gonna be the greatest comeback ever in this industry. She doesn't do that. And she keeps circling back to two ideas, right? Protecting the artist and keeping the music honest. And coming from the person who trained so many HYBE idols and now runs BigHit Music, that's intentional. And you can also feel that she understands the weight of next year, 2026. She never downplays it, but she refuses to let the comeback become a pressure-driven spectacle. And that's important. That's important because, again, I really want BTS to be like a forever artist, meaning they can have a long career and they can drop music whenever they want. But whenever they do drop music, it becomes a huge event in the industry. But I really want them to move at their own pace, which is why it's important that the comeback doesn't become a pressure-driven spectacle. And instead, Shin Jeong frames it as a moment where the members come back when they feel grounded enough to create something real, something genuine. And that alone sets a very different tone compared to, most comebacks in the industry, whether it's K-pop or just the general music industry, which are usually treated like deadlines. And another thing that stands out is how she talks about the second generation of BigHit groups, like the positions TXT and CORTIS as artists. She positions these artists or these groups as artists with their own identities instead of the next BTS. You know what I'm saying? And that's important too. She leans heavily on authenticity and growth and pacing. Basically, the opposite of the fast cycle idol system that the industry is famous for. And it gives you a sense that BTS wants longevity more than short term wins. And that's where the solo careers come in, right? I would say the reason why like RM was able to drop RPWP and Yeonjun of TXT was able to drop his own album recently with their respective styles is because HYBE and BigHit respects the authenticity and individuality, right? And that's why I love, rooting for these groups, these artists, and also these staff working for their artists. You know what I'm saying? Because I really value individuality as well. And this reminds me of the thank you message that RM included for his album RPWP. He thanked BigHit or / HYBE staff for trusting him for putting out this album. So, and lastly, her take on technology is very clear, maybe in a surprising manner. Where is it? Technology. So she draws a clear line, right? AI is a tool, not the creator. And considering how much HYBE has been criticized by some critics, people, or haters for leaning into tech too much. Hearing her state that music has to come from human emotion, that feels like her attempt to draw a boundary before, I don't know, people speculate too far. So at least for Shin Jeong, AI is just a supporting tool, right? In fact, other technologies are supporting tools, and humans must come first. So yeah, overall, this interview wasn't too loud, but it's pretty firm. It reads like someone who knows the size of the momentum, but believes that the only sustainable way forward is to slow down, trust the artist, and let the music lead. So yeah, I think this tells you a lot about how BTS comeback is being shaped behind the scenes. And speaking of which, yes, BTS comeback is probably one of the most important things that could happen to the company, to BTS themselves, and the industry in the past few years, or if not the past decade. But I feel like yes, this is important. But what's even more important is what happens after that, after the album and the world tour. I feel like that's gonna be even more important for BTS career. But as long as these guys respect the artist, the pace of each artist, and as long as fans are mature enough to respect both the group activities and solo activities without being toxic and without causing like stirring controversies and chaos about like competitions, BTS could have a legendary and sustainable long career where they can fulfill their own artistry and musical desires, both as a group and solo artists. And that's truly my wish, both as a fan and as a shareholder of this company. So that's the full interview. And yeah, it gives us a clearer picture of how BigHit is thinking going into 2026. It's careful, is artist focused, and it feels like they are trying to reset the tone after a chaotic couple of years both inside and outside HYBE. But I'm curious about what you think. How do you feel about Shin Jeong's approach to BTS comeback? And does her leadership style match what you want from BigHit right now? And now that all 7 members are actually they are in the choreography phase, right? J-Hope talked about it, and then we saw some hints from their Instagram updates. And what kind of direction do you hope they take moving forward in 2026? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear how you're reading this moment. And thanks to those who let me know about this interview. Okay? And as always, let's stay positive, respectful, and classy. Thank you guys. Peace, love. Bye bye.